Call the meeting to order. It is November 30th at 6:31 PM. We're gonna start with a roll call. Erin Bosworth is here. Dr. Doug DePavelis. Here. Jen Ludwig.
Here.
Jonathan Pascua has officially sent in his resignation, so we are going to consider his spot as vacant. Tim Pimentel is absent. Craig.
Here.
Bernardo, thank you. And Ben is here. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of minutes from September 28th. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to. Second.
Great, thank you. Any comments or feedback before voting?
The minutes now.
The only thing on the minutes, and I don't know if it applies here, is I was not in attendance at the last meeting, but on the agenda was the approval of the meetings from the week or the time prior. And you guys couldn't vote on it because we didn't have a quorum. Do we address that now?
I'll have to put those minutes on the next
On
agenda.
the, okay,
I didn't
that
realize,
matters.
or I didn't remember to move that forward. I'll make
Okay.
a note of that.
thank you. So do we approve these minutes,
You can.
even though it says that they were voted on and
No, these weren't voted on. Approval of minutes. September 28th. That's these.
yeah, but on
Right.
these, it says that there was a vote
Oh,
with the motion. for
I
approval on the 24th.
watched the video and I took my minutes from the video.
It
So
was
if it was
moved,
done,
yeah.
it was done.
It was done later once they realized that you guys didn't have a quorum.
I see what you're saying.
So we can make a correction to these minutes.
Okay,
That's what you would say.
So make a motion to amend the minutes.
I'll make a motion to amend the minutes from Wednesday, September 28th. So the motion is to request that the meeting minutes from August 24th get reapproved on the next one, so the
Yeah.
next Economic Development Committee meeting. Since we didn't have a quorum on September 28th.
So Doug, second in the motion. And we're gonna vote on the amendments. So do you want to call a vote on the amendment?
Sure. Doug? Do you agree with the
Approve
amendment?
or
Just the amendment on getting the August 24th minutes
Amended.
reapproved.
Yep, that's fine. Yeah.
Jen,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion carries 4-0
That's on the amendment itself.
on the
Then
amendment.
now you can approve the minutes as amended.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Yes.
In second?
Second.
Okay. Doug? Yes.
Yes.
Jen,
yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Erin, yes. Motion also carries 4-0. All right. Item, new business, agenda item number 4, EDC remit and goals. I don't know where to start. I think for me, I guess this is a really exciting topic, because I think that we talked about something in the very beginning of the Economic Development Committee. I think that somewhere along the lines, things changed a little bit, I feel. And now I'm kind of confused as to what the goals are for the Economic Development Committee, so.
So how about if I give a quick report on what we've accomplished this year
Yeah.
and where things stand? So back in February or March, I believe, we had a presentation from CGI Video to do community videos, and they were retained, and they came out in October and did a 2-day video shoot. And they came out a couple weeks later to meet with local businesses and offer their services to local businesses for a fee. And I was supposed to meet with them like October 31st, but I never heard from them. So I assume they're in production and finishing. I don't have any updates at this time, but I do expect any day now to hear from them, and that they'll have videos for us to upload onto our site.
Okay.
On the There were two other projects. So the other project was the community gift cards. That they made the presentation to the commission, I believe in April, but I wasn't there for that. And the follow-up never really got off the ground. I called and reached out to him once, but never got a call back, and I didn't follow up again. So that's something we could pick back up again if there's still interest. There was also some,
Can we talk about gift cards for a moment? before
sure,
we Move on. I thought we agreed that we wanted to proceed with the community gift card.
We had presented. Will agree to then present the
To-
to the
To
council,
the town council.
right? And I don't know what happens after that.
Right.
Is that something that then was approved? Or did
So
guys- or the council took it back to discussion?
we brought it. So we're not allowed to discuss anything unless it's an executive session worthy item. So. I don't remember us having a separate item on this, but I do remember in that session, so you came forward and presented on some of those items. I think we said we wanted to proceed, but we were gonna have to figure it out kind of with the available admin, that type of thing. So, I think that's still kind of the open question to say.
Yeah.
How do we
how do we move forward?
move forward with something like this?
Okay,
So, I know you have a long list of to-dos, Ben, so I think we need a little. Advice from you on, is there anybody at town hall we can work with to have them, follow up, admin this and anything?
yeah, one, I now have an assistant town manager to work with who's been tremendously helpful at sharing of the load. Between her and I think we can get this program back in front of the council for consideration.
I don't think it has to go to the council though, again, because they already.
Did
They
we-
brought it to the council.
Yeah.
The council says, sounds like a great idea.
Okay, just go.
Yeah,
So
like
I
that's
just need an
my
implementation.
interpretation. Like it wasn't that the council was gonna,
Okay,
because there was no money involved. We didn't have to approve any
Right.
funding. It was more so like,
Okay.
can the administration make it work? Because they're gonna have to. Facilitate some of the questions and the vendor and that kind of thing.
There was some funding that we're considering that the town add on to the card or take on something, but I guess. Remember that it was.
No,
so I will look into this for administrative implementation and report back. Next
Okay.
time.
I think I remember what you were talking about. It's like the town could opt, there's some options if the town wanted to take on like certain expenses or whatever as like an incentive.
Because we would give something to the card, like so much money. Card, talk about that.
I think there were some options that we could do, but we didn't have to.
Right, it didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So once it gets going, if they want to.
or like a percentage of the
Address that
fee
later.
for the card. I think that was, but then we said that the user, whoever's purchasing it, can just pay that fee, no different than if you were to get like a Visa gift card at CVS. Yeah.
I think we said the town would pick up some of that fee initially, we suggested that, but back then we revisited, I suppose, once the program's going and decide if that's something we really want to do.
Yeah. Okay, so now that, so Maria joined us a couple months ago over the summer, I guess. So you'll let us know at the next meeting.
Is that full time?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
She's been a town manager before. She was town manager in Wellfleet, Massachusetts before coming in.
Okay, well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Another item of discussion and a goal of the EDC was to conduct a survey. Is that a community survey or business survey?
It was
General.
meant, yeah, it was meant to try and get businesses to reply to it. I had two pieces of feedback that I needed to update the questions with, some feedback from Tim Pimentel and updated tax numbers. And then I think that'll be ready. I have some time on my hands now.
Ooh,
So I think I'll be able to get that up and ready, and maybe I can send it over to you and Cody to see when you can maybe put on the site.
Yeah, that's no problem.
We could, we'll probably need a Facebook posting also. And then, however else we think we can, reach out to people to do that.
Would there be any, when you're talking about the tax ID, are we talking about possibly a push to?
No,
businesses as well? No,
sorry, it's not the tax ID, the tax numbers that I had provided everybody. That was in, I think I provided those in Q1 of this year, but at Q1, those numbers are now over a year and a half old. So the places that I was comparing us to for the tangible tax rates have all changed. So it's very easy to look up. I just need to update the numbers.
does the town, just to carry on, and forgive me if this goes off track, but does the town have record of tax information? So can the town reach out to all businesses in the town now? I mean, I get. direct
We
emails
have a
about
commercial tax roll, because the
Commercial
commercial
tax
tax rate is different than the residential tax
Correct.
rate, so. That would be an identifier, and probably from the tax assessment roll, we could. Run a report of all the commercial properties,
Okay,
just because a property is taxed commercial doesn't mean there's anything on it.
or it could be a 3-family home, vacant.
Well, it
commercial
could be
land,
vacant land, it could
and
be
or business.
a business, it
Okay.
could be a vacant business. So it's helpful to find, but there might also be multiple businesses on one parcel.
Yep.
And it doesn't tax tenants separately, so it's not a really good way to put together a business list, but
What about to the fire department for individual business getting a fire tax for their goods and services in their building?
Just trying to help with
That would
the push
identify
of
all
something to
the
be more effective
businesses.
and how many businesses.
that
owners are
might be an
following
effective way to
either
do
Facebook,
it.
Social
Um,
media, or, I think there's a lot of businesses in town that are not engaged with, town solicited, either. The Facebook Coventry group or
Plus
whatever
the
the
town
case
does
is.
that, I'm sorry.
No,
Brain's going.
no, go.
I was thinking about the town does that too, right? I think they've done tangible goods. So they should have a list of all the businesses that have.
That's true, tangible tax.
The only thing is though, it's not as simple as like, oh, just push this button and print out all the contacts for me. I think that's what we've faced in the past, because at the council level, we've also asked some of those questions, like, can we get some of this information to local businesses? And the answer has been kind of. So there's no repository that you can easily pull it from. You face the challenges you just talked about.
People change businesses and keeping it clean and up to date. It's the same problem any business has
Yeah.
with the email list, right? It's just.
So-
Question, does every business in the town of Coventry have to have some type of permit, license?
Nope.
No, so a business could open in Coventry and operate.
Yep.
And not have any, because it seems like I
So
have.
only
liquor
certain ones,
license, Sunday permitting license, the
Right.
holiday permitting licensing for me to open on Sunday.
we have mobile
or
business
Christmas.
licenses, we have
just-
food
Is
licenses,
it could be just
victualling,
an
yeah.
insert into these communications that come out to us for payment and renewal?
So we have a handful of businesses that do require annual licensing, but it's by no means a lot of them.
Even 50%?
No,
No, over.
no, because we don't require licenses for healthcare or restaurant, or not, sorry, tax accountants or services, lawyers.
Or I see.
There's
Okay.
a construction, tree service, chippers, mechanics, like there's
Yeah.
all kinds of businesses out there.
Right,
If they request a sign change for a new business, would that have to be approved? And some would have to go before their council, it would have to go into.
I mean, if
planning
this,
and development,
it would
just
get
to-
reviewed by planning. Does your sign conform? If it does, you get approved. It's,
They're not-
yeah, I mean,
Plugging
through the
that.
planning department, we could set up a process to capture business information. But we could just as easily do that through the tax rolls or some other means, or the simplest would just be to have an annual business license for all businesses where the town just checks the bona fides. I looked at that one town and the community just came apart because it's like, you can't tell me what to do. And okay, fine. But it was supposed to, for a nominal fee of $5, which they were saying they're gonna charge $2,000. It was just to know who are your businesses and do they have licenses? You don't want a dentist coming to town without the education or the certifications to work in your mouth. And there have been all kinds of fly-by nights. So to some degree, it's a question of who's responsible for making sure the business that you're catering to is legit. People assume it's government, but it's not. It's buyer beware.
That's right.
You go to a hair salon and they don't know what they're doing with hair coloring and they fry
I
your
think
hair.
the Secretary of State, every business has to file some type of document with the Secretary of State.
Mhm.
But then beyond that, it doesn't trickle into the local.
Eh.
And I only bring this up because it would just be a fantastic way, and as I've had to send so many checks in this last quarter for all the permits and fees and things like that. I'm like, wow, just to have an insert here for me to just fill back and say, could you please provide your updated information, business owner? And then that can be sent back, and then you guys could data enter that into some kind of database, just to kind of, just to confirm, and then.
I mean, I would love to have
Just kinda
like
like a
a
stepping stone.
self-reporting database,
Yeah.
so but the problem is the town. The town gets in a difficult position to have a business list, and why is someone not included? Well, it's an opt-in list. So if you want to be in, just fill out the form and you'll be in.
Maybe with a selection, business content use changes.
Because I would love to make it
Residential. or-
electronic, automatic,
That'd be
self-maintaining.
Yeah, even like the code red, if there could be an option for, is it a business or residential? That you're opting in for.
And they're not burdened by this information that they just don't need.
Mhm.
That'd be great. And then to you-
Code Red's a tough one because we have a specific vendor for that, and that's. Do we get any state funding on the Code Red, or is
No,
it
we just
total?
buy that tool.
We just buy it, okay. So that, it's like an existing service that we, in essence, opt into. But having something that's owned by the town, I mean, one of the things we talked about was the website
Mhm.
and having better capabilities and repositories and things like that on an updated website. I feel like that, we've been talking about that for 2 years and we haven't done anything.
Could I add something? Gene? Could the Secretary of State, on behalf of a request from a town manager, get a data export of all businesses that were filed through the Rhode Island Secretary of State with
Can we have a
resident?
list of your Coventry businesses?
Yes.
Kind of a thing,
And
we could
whether that
ask,
Could be
I don't
an
know.
export file of all the.
but I don't
Because you
think
have
it
to be
has to
very
come from me,
clear.
it could come from anyone.
Yeah, well, I just felt that with more,
You got more sway.
Do I
Your
really?
name points.
Well,
to it.
or on behalf of a town council recommending, or.
I mean, I
Coventry
can
letterhead
flower it up.
With
but
documentation, I don't think that's
Yeah,
gonna
we could-
give Erin that or
We
myself.
can ask.
Cause that's a.
Well, on the other hand, it's a public record request, you could approve it,
Coventry.
and
Yeah.
I want a list of all Coventry business.
But I'd wanna make sure that, that the IT department here can set forth the requirements of the data feed that they need, so that it's not someone here having to data enter. But they could send a feed that would,
Mhm.
merge
I've
into
got a
the feed
full-time
that are here.
employee starting in 2 weeks that can data enter,
No, but I don't think you wanna
Who's
burden.
that?
receptionist, her name's Karen.
Okay.
But you
Smith.
just don't wanna burden.
Well,
yourself.
why don't,
I think everything's electronic with them because I've seen it.
well, so here's the thing, we don't even know where we're gonna keep this information, so maybe it's
Right,
just
right.
worth a phone call.
Yeah.
From the chair.
Sure.
It just, non-urgent phone call, just whenever. I'm sure you don't have it, but whenever you have 10 minutes, not urgent for this week, of course, but. To just say, what type of information can I put forward? I chair this public commission in Coventry. This is what we're trying to do and. Get the word out, and can we get this type of information? What do you have? Yeah, is it a file? Is it as easy as a file export? Do I have to put in an APRA request? I mean, let's just start simple, like we do.
Yeah, no,
I-
right, because they. have
I just
so
don't know what
much
they have.
information And they require so much information from us. And when you are filing, there's paperwork that goes back and forth, so there's validation. And I think it would be a really good resource for us.
That'd be
to reach
great.
out to our businesses here in town than various other ways we've thought about doing it.
Can I?
That'd be great. Good night.
Right.
I'm just making myself a note. Yeah. Okay. So the business survey
Mhm.
was, I think, where you started that.
Yes.
In terms of things.
And that's where I can leave it, because I don't believe there's anything else in the last year that I recall being a goal or priority, so.
So we talked a bit about the story walk or the gem search options, which would take it to the town council. We also submitted ARPA requests funds for a 4th of July summer bash and the RFP.
Yes,
I don't think I haven't heard back.
so the EDC put in APRA requests.
Yep.
And all the APRA ARPA
ARPA
requests,
I don't know.
open meeting record, public records request versus American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Okay,
So the request for funding was included in all the requests. It was presented to the council. The council has reviewed them, but has not made any complete decisions, hasn't exhausted the list. But it will interest you to know that I met with the Parks and Recreation Director this morning, who's putting together a plan for a community celebration fireworks event. It'll be a couple weeks ahead of July 4th, because it'll be $10,000 cheaper to not compete with that busy weekend, and it'll also not have to incur holiday overtime pay. But we discussed doing this as a one-off, and she's gotten feedback from several council members all interested in doing this for the last year. And so when I met with her, the budget she put together is $74,000. And I walked through her budget, and she has capacity in her current year budget to reallocate things that are coming in under budget of about $35,000. So it's half paid for, and she's going to present it to the council. I asked her to have it by next Tuesday so that I can get it in front of the council and for discussion. And we need to sign the contract for the fireworks as soon as possible. So that'll be, if the council's supportive of this initiative on the 12th, then on the 13th, I can lock in the rate, the quote for the fireworks, and we'll go forward. And the plan is through community business sponsorships and fundraising to get the balance of the program paid for. So we've got something in the works, and I think that would be a great opportunity for the EDC to partner with the Parks and Rec program in promoting it as we get more details. But right now it's in concept form. I asked her to really put together a solid business plan. What's all involved? What's it going to look like? And how's it going to get done?
I thought you and Tim did a great job presenting the ARPA items. So I don't speak on behalf of the council, just giving my interpretation. It seemed as though there was more appetite for big infrastructure related items. And this kind of fell more towards the bottom. That was just my personal interpretation. So if there's some way that we can possibly partner with Parks and Rec, I'm open to that. So we can wait to hear back.
Businesses that want to contribute. Should that.
Yeah, the fireworks are $9,500, and that could be a platinum sponsor for a headliner business recognition. There's a lot of things that we could do to get more participation.
Right.
Craig.
I was thinking more like ice copy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can choose.
Okay, so you'll let us know kind of.
So those were
Actually-
included in the ARPA request that went to the council, and that is out there. But as far as the Parks and Rec is a separate kind of venture on the same focus.
Yeah. What about the funding for? I just like my ideas, the story walk and the gem search option or something like that. We requested a budget in 2020.
I do believe some funding was put in the EDC.
So sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
That's okay.
Did we put 5,000 in EDC for?
I
community
thought we did.
projects?
I thought we did.
Grab my budget.
Because I asked a similar question to Ben like 2 months ago, because I couldn't remember if it was in there or not. There was the second budget that was put forward, got approved over the summer. And I thought that was in it, so
So I think one of my questions going forward is I feel like we talk about these things and maybe because there's a lot of meetings that go by. We don't even, but I'm struggling to keep up with some of these things.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's me.
I would agree that there's been some times where we haven't met for 2 or 3 months. I almost want to say that that makes a priority of us trying to get a quorum as a kind of the first thing.
Sure.
In addition to the first.
Probably could we get some council feedback like we are here tonight, a little bit about where things are at. Just when it's finally approved the matter, or yeah, it's in the process, we make it on this, the gem, that was a request for funds. You never heard anything.
Right. So maybe we need to kind of going forward, maintain a list of all these open projects and keep them on the agenda for every time we need to discuss them in depth.
So update.
Because I think, yeah, the old business and just, I think we tend to forget about some of these, so maybe maintaining a list of all the projects.
Circle back to each of them.
Yeah.
So maybe collectively, when we see them for the agenda to approve,
Yes,
then we just have to be more active with understanding what we're,
I agree.
you know, and even if we're redundant, where if you reply to all and you say something, and I say something, if it's not adding too much of a burden for you or your team, they kind of siphon through, but then we're just kind of keeping it alive for a really quick update.
Agreed.
So-
Is it possible just to keep it reoccurring until we
Yeah.
decide not to have it?
So what are we doing
An
about?
action then is on the future agendas to keep a list of all of these open projects. So we can come back
Yes.
and talk about them individually without, so we're not scattered, right, you know. with-
List open projects on future agendas, got it.
But
and-
list it out, not just like a.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We'll agree to remove it if it is just, you know.
It's always better to have too much and then you can just say, we'll table that, we'll table that.
So there's $10,000 in the budget for economic development. Under the manager's budget.
And we have to use that by the 30th of June. It has to be allocated against,
Yeah.
so.
So that's. That could close a gap if there is any for this community celebration. It could start, and if this community celebration is great and has a lot of sponsorships and there's surplus, then you have it for the other projects that you have for the story walk. That's a nice little pot of money.
How would we go about next steps? for
How do you
service?
spend it?
Yeah, like,
Um,
it's great ideas on paper, but how do we move it forward now?
so. Essentially, you need to get to the point where you're gonna get a quote or an invoice. To spend it. For me, because I'm gonna be working with you, either Maria or myself. We would. We would wanna know, what is it for? Where'd you get your quotes? If we need to call and get 3 quotes because it's gonna, it won't be because it's under 10,000. We're good. You just source it, identify what you want and put in the request to me, make it a formal request that has the vote of the commission to spend the funds in such a way so that's not just me. No, that's not what we wanted.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, so we need a vote on it.
so you would
Along
make,
with that
so you
information.
develop the idea, put it on the agenda, the agenda with a quote, and then you'd make a motion in a second to spend $2,163 on whatever. Brass rings and
Well, okay,
crystal balls.
The 2 ideas that you had talked about, the Apple idea and the story walk stuff. I almost feel like that might be a good partnership with the library.
yes,
So,
story walk, definitely.
yeah, so I wonder if we could, maybe you and I can chat with,
Megan Whedon.
Whedon, yeah, Megan Whedon. I can reach out and see if she'll just spend a couple minutes with us. Again, not urgent for this week, but just maybe schedule 20 minutes for the 3 of us.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because that might give us some ideas and then we can look to put it on a future agenda. To say, do we want to do something like this and we're gonna allocate XYZ funding, because then also we can use the library admin resources to help get some of the quotes and things so that we don't have to go out and do that.
Okay,
So I'll take that follow-up to get
It
us
would
with
be
Megan.
good to get them involved, because I think once we have the, like, for the story walk, for instance, once we have it in place with all, like, we'll want to change out books to keep people coming back, right? So that might be something. that
And the
might help.
location right here on the.
Right.
Greenway,
Right.
perfect, you could have a section that's the story walk.
Mhm.
So I do just want to like circle back to remit and goals.
Yes,
Just a little bit of background here for everybody. Part of the reason that this is also on here is because as a council, we had talked about this in a previous meeting, basically saying in the Coventry Charter, it doesn't exactly say what mission and goals are and things like that of the group. And for some groups, it's very specific, like for planning commission, it's very specific on what you vote on and those kinds of things. But for a lot of the boards and commissions, it's just kind of like there will be economic development commission. It will have 9 members or something like that. So what we're hoping to do is not only just create what the remit and the goals are, but then hopefully we can get it like onto the website. So when people are filling out like an application, they know like what night do we meet? What are we trying to do? Like, you know, those types of things. And then also at some point, I'm sure we'll have another charter review commission and we could possibly put some of this language in there if we need it. But we're basically asking all of the boards and commissions to try and come up with some bullets, something that the group agrees on, that is our, I don't know if we want to call it our mission, we could if we wanted to. But what are we focused on as a group, not individual projects, but the type of initiatives that we want to focus on.
So, yeah, you could have different priorities for how you want to improve the economy of Coventry. Some might be, you know, we want to focus on labor skills and education. We want to focus on entrepreneurial startups. We want to focus on, you know, business services, business to business. We want to, you know, we want to focus on infrastructure because we know these businesses can't come into town if there's no access to sewer or water. So those are like overarching categories, and any one of them could be overwhelming, but if you just pick one, you can like target it and develop a plan that way.
We could also start kind of small and grow from there. Like a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, like the video, the gift cards, it's promoting local business. Because I feel like I wouldn't be able to personally make a call like, are we focusing on labor services? Like, I don't know if I could make that call. We've been meeting for 1.5 years. We haven't really talked about any of that. So maybe we can start a little higher and say, you know, we have 3 goals and one of them is to promote local businesses and find opportunities to promote local businesses, something like that. So I don't think it has to be an 8-page survey, but I'm wondering if we come up with a couple ideas and then maybe vote on it in.
Well, I think the
December.
business survey goes right to that point, right? Because you're going to
Yeah.
ask the businesses, what's important to you?
Yeah,
How can we help?
yeah, that's a good point. And it's not necessarily just what we think, it's information that comes back from that survey.
Right.
I have to refresh myself. I thought I asked one of those questions like, how can the EDC help you or something like that? But I can update it to say, what would you like the EDC to focus on, something like that. And then we can bring it back as a future agenda item. And I don't think we're going to be ready to vote on it in December. There's not an urgency on this, but maybe we see what the survey results are and we have a discussion and just maybe come prepared next time with a couple ideas for the mission and goals.
okay. And then I guess I'm still unclear as to our role, because I think for me, when we first started this, we talked a lot about what we could do. And the idea, or what I took away from it, is that we would come and share ideas and, you know, try to help where we could, but it was more of the idea factory, I think was the terminology that was used. And not so much executing, and I watched one of the town council meetings. And one of the town council members at the time maybe had a different idea of what the EDC was designed to do. And there was some comments made about maybe lack of results or lack of success for the EDC. I guess, what is our goal truly? Is it to come here and make sure all these things are executed and done, or is it truly the idea factory?
Yeah, I have my own feedback on that too. There was some, I recall there being higher expectations set and kind of a feeling of, we haven't executed, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's been lack of execution.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that would be clear. Maybe this is part of what this design of our goal and mission is.
Yeah, it's whatever we decide it is.
Well, so that's the big sticking point. There is no definition in the
Right.
charter. The council didn't give you a marching orders and say, this is your purpose. So it really is left with the commission itself to decide what its purpose is going to be. And that purpose can change year to year or as needed, but I think a starting point would be for, perhaps everyone could send me their thoughts about what you see as the role of the Economic Development Commission and its purpose. And then I can put them all in a kind of a composite list for the agenda next time, so everyone can see what everyone said. And then from there, kind of figure out what you want it to be.
okay,
So again, I don't speak for the council. I'll give you my interpretation. I didn't feel that comment was appropriate. Also considering, I had been previously on the sewer subcommittee for many years. And over the last, I don't know, 4 to 6 years, that committee has consistently had a problem meeting. So I don't think it's necessarily a lack of quorum. I think it's more about setting the expectations. So for example, if you talk to one counselor, they may say, oh, I thought you were going to try and work with the sewer subcommittee so we can get sewers for more businesses on Tioga. I'm like, and I think to myself, who in here has other, does anybody else here ever sat on the sewer subcommittee other than me? Who else here has sewer experience? That doesn't feel like in our remit, I'll be honest, at the initial stages. If we want it to be, it can be, we can take steps to do that. The second thing is we had another counselor ask us, can you do this salute to businesses? And
And we tried, we were willing,
yeah, we were willing, but there's no contact list.
right?
The counselors weren't, including myself, I don't have a business contact list.
Yeah,
We reached out to the other counselors. There's one counselor who had a list of like 20 businesses.
So we saw.
Yeah, so I said, okay, we can't task groups of people with things that don't exist. There's no contact list that exists. This isn't a push a button and now I'm just going to mail all these things out. So I totally agree with you, Ben. This is about setting the expectations on what the group does. And then I think that this is one of the most proactive groups in the last 2 years that I've been on the council. This group has consistently come back to the council, brought ideas, whether they get executed on or not. A lot of times that's money, those types of things. But I think this group has probably been in front of the council more than any other commission has, with bringing ideas and requests and things like that. So I think we just need to set the expectation on where we will take things. So for example, the Historic Commission. Sometimes they utilize staff to go out for an estimate, like they'll talk with DPW about a particular request or something like that. Like I'm just giving you an example. There's no group that I know of that goes out there and pounds the pavement by themselves and does everything. So this will just help solidify like what we're looking to do and bring back to the council. And I think there's also some other ideas that we can put in there for the goals and things. Like we can keep that idea factory and say, here are some things that we think would be good for your consideration. We're coming up on another budget season. So maybe we put that on the next agenda to say, what are some ideas that the council might consider for, or even Ben, because Ben does the initial budget draft and then brings it to the council. So
So
Do we
wanna
have-
make sure he's adding funds for the following year as well.
yeah, like what do we think would be helpful for the council to do from an EDC perspective?
I think that goes back to what we're requesting the funds for. It kind of held us in a little bit in limbo, is we wanted the funds to be able to get the overview of the study of the town, so we had that direction, right? And to catapult us forward with momentum, we needed to kind of hone in and focus on different aspects. While we're in limbo waiting on that, we have to kind of circle back, I think, and get a direction.
And that is absolutely correct, right? We all stood up in front and said we'd like to have an allocation of money set aside to have someone, and then, a professional company assess the quick wins. And then that was going to allow us to help us focus. So hence why I had asked for it to be tonight's piece too, to kind of understand where maybe that's gone. Because I think that's going to better help us too.
That was requested as part of the ARPA funds.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think we talked about this on the last time I was here as well. How do we help to get the meeting minutes and things out sooner? Is it something that, like, if I go home tonight and put all this together and send it to you in terms of things to be on the next agenda? My problem is I forget it, right? Is I leave here and then we don't get the agenda items until Monday. We get the notification on
And
Monday,
that's
like,
because
here's the
on
agenda.
Friday, I'm typing up the minutes, watching the video to get it
Well, so
to
that's
you by Monday, so.
right. So
I
how
mean,
do
now,
we-
if tomorrow could be a good day and I could get all the minutes done, because it'll be fresh in my mind. And I can get it back out to you in advance, so you have time to look at it. But yeah, everything is gonna be benefited by more preparation and advanced warning. I know all of you are very busy, and so when you get that notice on Monday, oh yeah, it's this
By
Monday.
But yeah,
That day.
It's a.
And if I can do a better job getting it out the week ahead of time, so you have time to think about it and add things to the agenda, that would help. But certainly if any one of you have put it on your tickler to come up on the Wednesday prior to say, hey, we got a meeting coming up. You
okay.
know,
Uh,
I think it's kind of a relationship. We can help each other, but
Yeah.
be successful with just
Absolutely.
being a little more on point.
Yeah, and that's my point, is how do we help? How do I help you? I say I struggle with it, but I obviously can. do
I can
this.
say it's out of sight, out of mind until it's like on my calendar,
Yes,
so.
okay,
And then just contributing to that, so we're in the holiday season, right? So normally, I think we would have had our next meeting on the 14th. That's in 2 weeks. So I'm wondering if we think we have enough to have a discussion on the 14th, like if we haven't, do people feel like that's enough time to put some goals
We
and
have the big task on a good task, a very focused one on defining the missions of the group. That'd be a good time to circle back and nail it down.
that maybe we'll have, I mean, I don't know what the nomination process looks like, but it would be nice before we start to commit to goals that we have more members.
I have two in waiting.
What does that mean in waiting?
Well, they just need to get their information to be approved.
Okay,
They're busy in different aspects of their businesses, and I've just
Of course.
proposed the idea to someone else who's
Okay.
very qualified, and I'd be excited to have a part of it as well, so. But they're, two good, I would think, candidates that are eager to be part of it, so one who's visited previously in the summer, John.
so they, just food for thought, they don't have to be appointed to come in and join us. Usually, when we're appointing people, we don't have to appoint anybody for this, right? It's
The town manager can appoint people, so.
through this commission.
So since I've been here, it's been the council's tradition to interview everybody and then tell me who to appoint.
I know,
And
I know.
I don't have a preference, honestly. This commission is an advisory commission to the town. So if they want to get me applications, I don't wanna change the practice without someone being okay with it, but on the other hand, it's just me asserting my authority under the charter to go ahead and make the appointment so that this meeting can continue forward.
Yeah.
So,
So
we
as-
can simplify it, send them to me, I'll appoint them, and we'll have a full quorum by the next meeting. If you can get them to me this week, I'll appoint them Monday, and
Yeah, I was
There we
gonna
go.
say, because if
So
any,
because then we can have a full
So
quorum.
the protocol would be if we are interacting with any individual who we feel as part of the EDC would make a great member or contribution, they should just contact you directly.
Yeah.
And then just let them know, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Email
there's an
them.
EDC form.
There's an application.
I would,
online.
we have an
There is.
online application,
Okay,
and I liken the application letter of interest and a brief bio.
I mean, it's,
I-
there's.
I don't need it.
There's
I
like
don't
3
need that.
questions, so it's
I don't
not-
need
it's not
that
that
much
hard, yeah.
information because this isn't like for a paid job or anything, but we do want people that can contribute and will be reliable.
great.
Want a provisional, going to a meeting first and then seeing how they interact, or you just ready to get them.
Come on in.
Well,
All right.
I don't want to
Well,
make
that's-
appointments
I-
for people who are never going to show up, right?
Yeah,
So someone that has at least been to a meeting before has more credibility than someone who hasn't.
So would it be okay to invite someone to the meeting on the 14th? If
Absolutely.
they have an interest?
This is a public
Okay.
meeting.
yeah,
Invite people
14th is-
every meeting.
At 6:30 on the 14th?
Is 6:30 the best time?
It works well. for them.
I figured, so
Great.
we'll keep it at 6:30.
So about that open spot, yeah, tomorrow.
If it's up to me, it would be at 4. but let's-
I know. Great.
Any other,
And I don't, I'll look at the charter, but I don't think there's a limit as to the number of people that can be on the commission.
I don't think we have to worry about that, just.
Hey, the more the merrier.
When we get 10 people, we can
Yeah.
discuss that.
Okay. Any other comments, thoughts, and on the EDC permit and goals?
Thank you. If we are trying to make a push to bring in new members. Is to get a recap of what we've done up to date to bring people up to speed quickly as to where we've been, so they maybe get a lot of questions. Answers to what we've done so far. Then a 2-page summary.
Okay. Would the next, so if we were to invite someone to our next meeting on the 14th, with the earlier request to update the agenda to include all open projects or initiatives, would that be something suitable? Do you think, or would we need something more than that? And
Yeah, something
will
like
ask
that,
that.
yeah.
I think tonight, the minutes from tonight's meeting will be the recap, because we just pretty much recap the whole year.
Okay,
And so that would be a good time to pick up on it. I would also think that at that meeting, if that's the first meeting you have new members, you would think about your first meeting in the new year being an organizational meeting so that you have a vice president, maybe a secretary, someone that can take the minutes for the commission itself and then get them to me
Yeah,
so that I'm not burdened with doing the minutes.
yeah.
I'll have a resource, since we are hiring a receptionist that can assist with getting the agendas out. Huh?
Did you two create a transcript? When this
Uh,
goes
that-
out?
Zoom, you can turn on transcript for Zoom.
Okay,
That's what we're on now, right?
yeah, we are on Zoom, so yeah. I suppose we can. I haven't used it. I think Cody did use it once, and you still have to edit it,
Of course, yeah.
but yeah, it's helpful.
While we're talking about next year, should we consider reviewing the meeting schedule and or times to make sure Wednesdays work? I know that there might be conflict with the town council.
Town council's settled on Tuesdays.
They settled on
at 7.
Tuesdays, okay.
Oh, they did?
I got that today. This
Okay.
afternoon.
Wednesdays work.
Yeah, yeah, then fine, me too.
At what time?
That works. That works. So.
Well, I got the list of dates. It didn't have a time on it.
Does the third Wednesday still work? Do we want to just prepare a 2023 schedule for the 14th as well, so we have it going into the new year?
I will bring that back for the 14th. I thought we already did a meeting schedule, but maybe I'm thinking of the sewer subcommittee, so.
Well, I think we did, you reprinted, I think, the 2022 one in the middle of the year, because I think we changed some.
Yeah,
things.
I did both at the same time in August, so it'll
Okay.
be on the August minutes, but I can send that out to everyone.
I may have it then. somewhere in there. Okay, yeah, if we can just read. Okay. All right, up next is agenda item number 5, comprehensive plan, economic growth chapter, update and discussion. That's the RFP that you had requested. Okay.
Wait, no.
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 So last time when Herb Durfee, Director of Community Planning
That's what I-
Development,
okay.
came, he was
okay.
talking about the comprehensive plan for the town and the draft report on economic development is this 25-page chapter of the comp plan. So, I thought I sent out the draft chapter to everyone.
I think you did.
Okay.
I
No.
looked through it and I can't remember if it was Herb who sent it to me or you.
I didn't get it.
Oh.
At the agenda in the meeting minutes.
Well, it was
No,
a
this-
separate email.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
sent out.
Yeah, I don't think.
So. The idea is that the comprehensive plan. This is like an almost finished draft. But if you had any comments or changes or thoughts, it would be incorporated. We're at the we're at like the 85th percentile of being done with the comprehensive plan. There's a essentially they've used up the allocated funding for their project. And there was a lot of additional work at the front end because of staff turnover and a 2018 bunch of data for a previous effort on the comprehensive plan that they put in as a change order. So that change order is before the council to decide whether to approve the change order and finish the project with this consultant or not approve the change order and have staff take it across the finish line. And staff resources being what they are, it means it'll take longer, but in either case, that's the point that we're at where we're going to be trying to finish this up, but we want to be inclusive. And so if you have any thoughts on this chapter of the comprehensive plan, we'll try to get them included, but let's try to get all of comments by the next meeting.
Is it possible to either take this and or can you send?
You can have that one. I can send it out again.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
That'd be great.
So we can add this to an agenda item for next time as well, so.
Yeah, it'll be on the list of
Everybody's
open
fine.
projects. Yeah.
And it could be revisited, there was confusion on my end, the RFP process too.
Yes.
Is there, so that was submitted on the ARPA request. And I don't speak for the council. My interpretation was the council seemed to be in favor of some large ticket infrastructure items. And this felt like it wasn't gonna make the top list.
Okay, that's.
What I could suggest that this commission do is you could, find an RFP for the services you're looking for. Because there's almost no cost to advertising it and getting responses. And then you can find out based on those responses, what your
The
budget
actual amount would be,
would be.
yeah, it's a great idea.
I mean, some firms will say, are you
Is that
really
something
planning on
you wanna
doing
take
this or
action
not? But
Yeah,
Because I don't even know
That's-
what we'd be.
yeah, no, I could take action on this.
Okay.
See what you can get. At what price point, kind of thing.
and also reading through that chapter of the comprehensive plan,
That's,
it might have a lot of what you're looking for already built in there between the census data and the technical aspects of planning. We don't want to pay for the same work to be redone.
right,
So
right.
let's make sure we're asking for what we want that we don't already have.
Could I just ask, what's the timeline on this completion and then execution of this? Like, this will be.
So
a
the
new
comp
chart.
plan,
This will be a new plan in which the town will be action against?
Or,
Just kind of like the
So,
vision.
so a comprehensive
Okay.
plan is a global plan for the community for the next 20 years.
20, okay,
It's a 20-year outlook, and it's gonna say, these are the development patterns we're anticipating. If we have new development, this is where we're gonna need roads and sewers, and these are the deficiencies in parks and this and that, and it's an all community. It doesn't look at schools so much. The schools should have their own program, but within the context of the comprehensive plan, then you drill down and then you have a master library plan, a master parks plan, a master pavement plan.
Okay.
You know, all these things. And you get more and more granular, more and more detail. And based on the comprehensive plan, then you're gonna go back and rewrite your zoning code so that we make this area mixed use and this area commercial instead of industrial, and you're gonna tighten up how you want development to happen in town going forward in the future. And maybe you're gonna say, in this area, we don't want any businesses, so any businesses that are there will become non-conforming, but if they go out of businesses or change, that's it, you can't put another business in there. But that's what the purpose of a comprehensive plan is. It drives your planning for grants, for projects and everything. So the economic development side is really important because it impacts how many jobs you're gonna have in the future, how much residential growth, which will impact how many kids are in the schools, which will impact your property values. So it's all inclusive and interconnected. But to the extent that that's gonna talk about the economic environment for planning, it's not talking about the strategies to develop the economy. It's not talking about what this commission would be interested in terms of getting more traffic into town or through businesses.
okay, okay.
So you're gonna send a soft copy back out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments on that? Okay. So just to confirm, we're gonna review this. You'll send us a copy back out. We'll review this, provide all feedback in our next meeting.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, you're also gonna start to look at for the RFP in comparison to this, and then potentially try to get some pricing or ideas.
Try to create a sort of an outline RFP that we could all consider and look at to then submit out for. If, to Ben's clarification tonight, you know, if there needs to be more emphasis on soft or strategic planning. Okay, great, that was a very, just by the way, that's a very clear outline of that, thank you.
You're welcome.
It did help me to understand it more.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
There's nothing specific listed for old business on the agenda. I know we covered a lot of projects. Is there anything else anybody wanted as part of that? Okay. Agenda item number 6, public comment. I don't believe we have anybody, but
However, I was told that this would be a good opportunity just to bring up some points that I had, if I may.
Yes.
One very important point, I think that affects a lot of businesses on Route 117 is the discussion around the eventual bridge, the South Main Street bridge work. So apparently that bridge is on a schedule to be removed and a new bridge is to be built. There's been, please forgive me, but
Where is
this is right on South Main Street, it's basically across from Dave's Marketplace. That little
In
bridge.
front of the Garland
Garland.
building.
Okay,
Yes,
so-
where the Garland building is.
Okay, I got you. It's in essence the T in front of Dave's.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and there is a bridge over the river
Okay,
that is very old and in my lifetime has been there. So there's recently been.
Do you get that communication from RIDOT?
I don't know. I've only been following, so there was some personal communication given to other business members who then circled me into it, wondering, hey, have you heard anything? Because this could be an impact to your business. And then all of us sort of in this area got together. There was a town council person in that district that was trying to bring some awareness around some future planning to get in preparation of what's happened there, you know, with some of the defaults that occurred on Sandy Bottom Road. Which affected a lot of businesses here in town. There was plenty of width space, you know, as they had to address that bridge. traffic could be diverted. Granted, there was a lot of traffic delays, but this bridge here, it's such a small bridge
Mhm.
that there's no way to build half of it
No.
and allow cars to pass over. So some questions were just, can a bridge be developed off-site and very quickly dropped in, dropped out? What's the strategy of this bridge replacement? Others have said, now, again, this is a lot of hearsay and a lot of business owners talking. There's been discussion that once the bridge is done, it's going to be redeveloped into a one-way direction. I don't know if that was considered for the people who live on South Main Street, but if you're cutting people off from,
I
let's
haven't
say,
heard anything.
right, so I'm giving you,
This is
so I'm just bringing aware to us here tonight, as this would affect economic development. That, that's gonna be a major
If
breakaway
it,
there.
if it happens, there's gonna be a lot of growing pains associated
is that
with
a
it, but it's a
town
huge
project?
opportunity.
Is that a town project? That's
No,
not
it's a
town
state
project.
road.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
South Main Street is?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So Craig, that's my district.
Okay.
So,
There's a gentleman that had brought that to someone's attention. So
Was
maybe
it
I
maybe
maybe I missed it.
at the state level, maybe, was it George,
A
maybe?
representative?
Yeah.
Yes, possibly. So maybe I didn't speak if it was
So-
a town council person.
Why don't we can chat offline and figure out some contacts, and then maybe I can touch base with Kevin to use a contact for
We can
RIDA.
just ask if Kevin's heard anything.
Yeah. So
And if
I'll-
it happens, I
touch
wanna
base.
put a sewer line under the new bridge, cause that would really help that section of town.
Tremendously. Again, very favorable to infrastructure. You were very helpful when we had some traffic and road construction projects a couple years ago with the water.
Okay, this should be public comment, not discussion, so
Oh,
I'm gonna back you up on
No,
that.
no, but just so thank you, yes, and I'd love to bring to your attention to other people that have concerns as well.
Okay,
That could impact, okay? As far as a tax rate, so to encourage business owners, commercial property owners, everything commercial. LLCs that own tenement homes, I mean, for commercial properties in town, so properties and structures to encourage them to make improvements. Is there any tax consideration or tax, so let's say someone invests $500,000 into a structure and or property. Can the tax assessor, town manager, planner, building inspectors, could they determine that this investment could possibly yield a 3-year tax break? Like, could there be anything over a certain, so for over the next 3 to 5 years, if any commercial property owner is looking to do major infrastructure improvements, in maybe identified future development areas, Route 3, 117, that maybe there could be a consideration to, to sort of
So
promote that?
that would be something in the category of economic development incentive programs.
Okay,
And the only one that I know of that the town is actively engaged with is the 20-year tax treaty with Center of New England to promote business investments, and that those businesses then get all their taxes abated, and then they start paying taxes incrementally for the 10 years until they're paying full freight. But
not even tax deferment, it's just a partial, maybe it's
well,
taxed.
we don't
residential
have
versus-
any programs like that right now
Okay,
at all. But that could be something to look into and recommend as here would be a helpful tool to encourage businesses to reinvest. The classic way to do this is across the country is to create a geographical district where every property within this boundary line is in what is called a tax increment financing district. Usually you want those to be the oldest, most rundown areas of town, so that the taxes there are gonna be presumably below market, like all the properties are below market, everything's really low. And so when you create the district, it'll be for anywhere from 20 to 25 years. What happens is you freeze the taxes that the town gets. And when you put that $500,000 into your business and it gets reassessed, it's appraised, it's worth more. The amount by which the tax goes up doesn't go to the town, but it goes back into the district, and you start having this district replenishment fund so that your taxes are now going into your neighborhood, and not just going into the general fund. And then those taxes can, let's say that there was, let's say this was on Sandy Bottom Road and you wanted to underground power lines. And it's $1 million for just from 117 to the bridge. Well, you could use that pot of funds when it builds up enough to pay for that undergrounding with the taxes that the businesses themselves paid. And that way, you're not getting a tax break, but you're seeing those taxes come pay for the improvements that none of the businesses by themselves would be willing to pay for or able to pay for. So it's kind of it's a tool to help encourage investment. And maybe there are some tax abatements or breaks as part of it. Like if you make an investment of X amount, then X% of that can be, rebated back to you, to the business as a tax credit or something. There's different ways of doing it around the country. I don't know what the Rhode Island law is on it, but if you wanted to take on a project like that, you could research it, work with me to research it and say, we want to kind of understand this and make a recommendation to the council that they consider adopting a program like this.
So in an effort just to understand and to be more clear, would that be part of like a soft strategy? That would be, that we could suggest part of the hard plan? Would that fall into that?
It wouldn't go, no, this would be kind of a standalone recommendation, more
Okay.
proactive.
Okay.
Not part of the comp plan, but part of the EDC strategic plan. And then there's a lot of other programs that are less complex than TIF that are simpler that you could also look into. Just simply facade improvement programs, or that somehow if the town, I've heard of some communities using a portion of their ARPA funds to set up a grant program for businesses or a financing program for businesses. So you would draw down the funds and then the businesses would repay it on a discount rate interest or something, or you could do, a 50-50 on a facade improvement program. Let's spruce up your building and we'll pay 50%, things like that.
Okay. Is it often done in more economically very challenged, or have you seen it exercised in, key areas, but the town's looking to just revitalize? So, like.
So the pure intent is that you're doing it in the most blighted areas.
Okay.
But across the country, blight has been abusively redefined for greenfields, for whatever politically someone wants to accomplish to get the deal done. So it could be a brand new facility for an Amazon depot, or it could be a legitimate housing project or rehab of an old mill.
Did you have anything else on your list?
Some other things that we've covered.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for public comment? Okay, brings us to adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn? All those in favor say aye.
I
Meeting is adjourned at 7:40 PM.